plans to fly Delta over the holiday period. All right. Everybody's got that Fly Delta app. They've got their SkyMiles account. They're logged into it, and you have notifications on. Right now, our approach is a day by day. The day before, we will cancel the flight as long as the government requires us to. Right now, the FAA is asking every airline a 10% reduction in flights to the top 40 markets in the United States. For Delta on a weekday, for all my stat fans, that's roughly 540 flights a day if we have to. It is entirely up to the FAA at this point of when and how many flights they will tell us to cancel. But right now, they're shooting for a 10% reduction in operations on a daily basis. That starts effective tomorrow morning. Right now, I can tell you the priority is all international flights. International flights will leave on time and as scheduled. Delta's not messing with those. Those are the priority. The next flights that Delta will focus on not having to cancel are any flights that go through a major Delta hub. So any flight going through Atlanta, New York, Detroit, Minneapolis, Seattle, Salt Lake, LA, those flights are also a priority. Anything else, such as the Delta Connection flight, a flight that does not go through a major hub, all those are fair game to be canceled. Delta will announce a cancellation and let you know the day before, if at all possible. It will offer you rebooking options in the Fly Delta app, or it will offer you a full refund, that is mandated by the government in this case, if you so choose, for any portion of your itinerary that's canceled. If you do opt for a refund, it will process it for you right there immediately in the Fly Delta app. Certainly, this is all a big inconvenience. We're doing the best we can. We don't have any control over it. Here at Delta, we're kind of rolling with what the government tells us we can and can't do right now until Congress comes back to Washington and votes to reopen and fund the government. Appreciate everybody's understanding and patience with that, and we thank you as always for choosing Delta Airlines.
Yo, Dog need to be a spokesman for the company because he's the one that's really giving the information straight up, no filter, no chaser, no singing, no dancing, no none of that. He just straight up told y'all international flights, which that makes me happy because I got an international flight coming up this upcoming week. International flights are the priority. It sounds like if you are booking a flight, especially if it's going through a major hub, that you want to have a direct flight and not any flight that goes into another place that may not necessarily be a major hub, because the possibility of your flight getting canceled is extreme. I've been looking at a lot of different people in the airport and they showing how it's messed up. Now it's pretty tripped out because maybe it's when you book it super early or you book it super late, right? Because I know people, and I've been talking to people that's flying back and forth throughout the airports and stuff like that, that they're having no problem whatsoever. They're arriving early. They don't need to arrive early. Last weekend, which obviously I know it's much different than this weekend. Well, not last. Was it last weekend? Yeah, last weekend I actually flew to Atlanta and then I flew back, which Atlanta and Detroit are Delta's two biggest hubs here in the United States of America. No problem whatsoever. No delays, no issues, no problems, none of that. Now, I'm guessing that the longer that this thing goes on, the worse that it's going to get, which is one of the reasons why he's saying, yo, we don't have no control over this thing. This is beyond what we got going on. And so be very, very careful with how you approach this, because it doesn't look like the Democrats and the Republicans are ever going to agree, and so something got to give, and I'm not sure exactly what that is. The Democrats have dug their heels in. Um, Even the men, they dig their heels in, and the Republicans have already said that they're not even going to entertain no foolishness. And I'm pretty sure that people are looking to blame both sides, but at this point, it's starting to turn into a safety issue. And so that's the thing that I'm really concerned about is I don't have time to be dealing with safety issues. It's one thing to deal with a difference of opinion or, bipartisan disagreement. It's another thing when it starts to affect the planes that's in the sky and the air traffic controllers. We already had a near plane crash the day before yesterday out of LAX, and the air traffic controller had to save a plane because of a guy that went off course and they took off at the exact same time and they almost had a collision less than 1,000 yards, away from each other. I did a video on that. Y'all can go and check that out if you want to. But again, and I literally just got a notification that my meal has been confirmed for my flight. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very much vigilant about paying attention to this, and I'm just going from there. I'm not going to keep on going back and forth and trying to figure it out. At this point, I just want the government open. And I understand, I guess the perspective of both sides, even though I may not agree with one side. But at the same time, for me, safety is paramount.
So, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm an airline employee. I post about it sometimes, but not all the time. And so, I thought with all the cancellations that are happening and stuff like that, I just hop on here and explain things a little and then give you guys some advice. So, number one is don't panic. Okay, if your flight gets canceled, the airline is going to give you a option to rebook free of charge. So, you guys will all have the option to rebook. Just make sure that as soon as you get the option to rebook, you do it right away. Like, open it right away. Don't wait a second. Because if your flight is canceled, that means every single person on that flight now is going to be trying to get on another available flight and probably the very next available flight there is. So you want to make sure that you're beating other people before they get a chance to book out the flight and you lose that option. Another thing is that people are like, oh, I don't know if my flight's gonna be impacted. I'm like nervous. I don't, how do you know who's gonna be canceled and who's not? So, pretty much every major US airline has come out and said that they are not gonna be canceling any hub to hub flights. So, what this means is a hub is an airport that an airline operates out of mainly. It has the most amount of flights probably that leave in a day from that location, and it's just a major location for them to fly out of.
That's what the airline guy was just talking about also.
So, for example, for United Airlines, their hubs are EWR, LAX, SFO, IAD, IAH, ORD. I don't think I missed any. But, anyways, those are their hubs. So, if you have any flights that are going in between those hubs, then your flight's not going to get canceled. They've also said they're not going to cancel international flights.
Here's the thing, though, and this is a separate airline that she's referring to. Here's the other part, though. You still got to get through TSA. You still got to get through TSA. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all bad. So also sounds like the more money you spend, the greater the possibility of you making it through. And I'm talking about like TSA pre-check, clear, all of that stuff. You got to be very, very vigilant on this stuff.
But if you have a flight going to a smaller regional airport, then that flight could be canceled, but they're only canceling like 10% of flights, I believe. And the same thing probably goes for other airlines too. Like if you're flying Delta, if you're flying ATL to DTW, your flight's probably not going to get canceled. But if you're flying DTW to, I don't know, like Madison, Wisconsin or something, like it could be canceled because that is technically a regional airport location for them. And finally, I just want to say that with everything that's going to be happening, please, please, please remember to be nice to your flight attendants, to your gate agents, and to any other airline employees. The shutdown, the FAA regulations, and the schedule changes because of it is not their fault. It has nothing to do with them. And they're doing a job that is already very difficult, and it's currently making it even more difficult with the whole situation going on. So, yeah, it's very hard when we see people's misplaced anger because of these shitty situations. So yeah, just be kind to anyone who's working at the airport because
I'll tell you what, for me, I could just be like, you know what, I'm just not going to fly at all. And I do know some flight attendants that's going through it. But let me know what y'all think, especially if you're a traveler. Make sure you tap into the Patreon link is in the description. T Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to keep you guys updated as usual.